Okay, so I had forgotten to start the recording. So it's September 27, Wednesday, and we are in BBIS first semester English class. And this is probably the fifth class we are having this semester. And in the previous class, if I remember correctly, we were talking about the first reading, where do we stand? And we talked about pre-reading activities. We said that first check the meaning of the title, then if there is a subtitle, understand the meaning of subtitle. Then we said if there is a photograph, pay close attention to the photograph and study what is given there. Then we said below the photograph there may be a paragraph that summarizes the chapter. Read the paragraph introduction. Then I said there can be other exercises which I will not explain in the class. If you find time, do them. And then we came to the reading. We said that before you start reading, there may be a writing exercise, right? For example, last time you did, I remember you did maybe 1-2 minute writing about non-verbal communication. And then we came to the actual essay, and we said that as we read, we take notes. For example, let me show you here. We did this free writing last time, I remember, right? And then I think, I don't know if we focus this thing, there are 3 ways to convey messages. One is literal, you use words and people understand clearly what you say, words obvious. Then you have manner of speaking. So the way you speak also makes meaning. If you say, may I come in, sir? And I say, please do come in. Or I say, come in. Look, in the first, please do come in, I'm happy. But come in, I'm not happy probably. So the way I speak, please do come in. Here the speed is slow. Come in. The pitch, tempo has changed. And when I say, come in, look my facial expression. Come in. Face, voice, pitch, tempo. I mean, the manner of speaking also makes meaning. My tone, volume, pitch, tempo, rhythm, right? Second, manner. Then third, we have the non-verbal communication, body movement, right? So first is verbal communication. You use words and they have literal meaning. That we call, the first we call verbal element. Then second you have the manner of speaking, which includes tone. What is tone? The quality of the voice that expresses speaker's feeling or thought. Suppose you say, may I come in, sir? Come in. 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 Look, I said the same thing in 4 ways. And you clearly understand the 4 meanings I intend. Right? Then you have volume. You say, may I come in, sir? Come in. May I come in, sir? Come in. I may be tired, sick. May I come in, sir? Come in. I'm angry. Right? Even volume expresses. Then pitch. Highness and lowness of tone perceived by the ear. When people speak, sometimes they speak at a high volume, then the volume goes down. So pitch is the rise and fall of the volume. And sometimes we speak loudly and then we go slow and you don't get us. Up and down, right? Then you have rhythm is more about poetic language, right? Movement of speech. I can't give you example right now. And tempo, the speed at which you speak. So all these things, in future you might take IELTS speaking test, right? And you should understand these things. When you speak for a test, then your tone, volume, pitch, tempo, rhythm, all these things are counted to award you marks, right? Then third, we call this vocal element. We call this second element as vocal. Then third, we have non-verbal element, the body movement, especially facial expressions, right? How are you? How are you? How are you? How are you? I don't like you. Are you okay? I'm not happy. Are you okay? Are you okay? Your face tells a lot, right? I'm not good at acting, but I am trying. Okay, then you have non-verbal element, right? Body language. How you look. Right now I'm facing this whiteboard, not you. Or how you face people, at what angle you approach them, how long you gaze at them, right? Then you have face-to-face communication. So we have three things. One, we have the verbal aspect. Then we have the manner, and then we have the non-verbal aspect. And the essay that we are going to study now is not about verbal communication, is not about manner, it's more about non-verbal communication. That means in the essay that we are going to study now, we'll study more about body language. How people stand, what is their posture, gesture. Look my hands, hands make gesture. I'm slouching back, I'm tired. If I teach you like this, you won't like. Or if I sit on the desk, oh, what a lazy English teacher. You hate it, teachers who sit on the desks. And if I sit on the desk, what a mannerless teacher. Right? Posture, gesture, right? How often I look into your eyes, eye contact, right? So we'll focus more, as I said, body language and facial expressions. We'll focus on such things in the coming essay. Now let's move to the text. I won't discuss this agreeing, disagreeing, but let's quickly see. What do you think in Nepali culture, do people greet each other with some form of touching? No. Particularly after COVID-19, people developed a habit of doing namaste and not doing handshake, right? Otherwise, previously they used to do handshake. Do you do a lot of handshake, or you don't touch people? Does a boy when he greets touch you? No. Do you like if they touch you? No. Does a girl touch you when she greets you? No. So you can see in the sexes we avoid touching, right? If we belong to same sex, we might be touching, but for health reason or some other reasons, we prefer greeting without touching. So you agree that we touch less as we greet. Then if your teacher or principal is scolding you for some reason, then while they are scolding you, can you look into their eyes when they scold? No, we look down, right? Out of fear, out of respect, maybe. Then do you link arms? When you go in public, two girls, you're walking Darbar Marg, for example, do you hold their hands as you walk in public? Yes. Boys, do you hold the hand of your another boy when you walk? No. Interesting. Girls said they do hold the hands. Boys said no. In many Western cultures, if you hold the hands of same-sex friend in public space, it has meanings. If you are a girl and you hold hands in public space and walk, people might think you're a lesbian. That girl is your girlfriend. Or if you have a boy, you hold the hands for a long time in public space, they might think you're a gay person and that's a boyfriend, right? But it's not the case with us here. It's not the case with us. I still remember in 2052, 28 years ago, one day I was in school baranda and math teacher was there by my side and she saw something. He said, "Sir, yaunta." I went running. "Ke bhayo, ma'am?" I looked down on the street. "Kasta laas nabhayeka Chi, chi, chi. You know what was happening? A young boy was walking down the lane holding the girl's hand. And see, this teacher for the first time saw a boy holding girl's hand in Kathmandu. And she was shocked. Today it's normal. Today it's normal, right? I still remember. So then, so linking arms. Gesture a lot with their hands while conversing. So Nepali culture, when people talk, do you think they use hand movement all of time? What is the case? In your family, old people, uncle, auntie, grandpa, do they use hand movement lots of time? Okay. Then smile at each other when passing on the sidewalk. When I pass down the corridor, sometimes you come across me and you look into my eyes, and my habit is I'll smile at you. Right? I smile because this makes sure that we are feeling okay. Right? Suppose you're walking in the sideway and you see a stranger. Do you smile at strangers? No. What happens if you smile at them? What will happen if you smile at a stranger in the sidewalk? If you smile at a stranger on the sidewalk, what will they interpret? Has mat pagli pyar ho jayega. They say, right? Something wrong, something wrong. I see this slogan at the back of the buses, right? Is that correct? You don't fall in love when you smile at somebody. Right? But you said that you won't smile at people, strangers, right? Okay. If you do smile at strangers, you are making a meaning. You are trying to convey a meaning, right? You never smile at strangers. You see a handsome boy in a restaurant across the table. You don't know the boy, and you become interested in the guy, the poor boy. Do you smile at him? No? Okay. Nobody smiles at boys? You won't smile? In my case, if I see a beautiful girl somewhere, strange, I don't know, I might smile. If I feel she's beautiful, if I get interested, I might smile. Because when you smile at people, it's a way to establish a connection, right? But I do agree with you that smiling at strangers may bring unthinkable results, right? He may be beaten, he may be scolded, he may have some difficult time, right? So we shouldn't smile at strangers. Okay. Silence is a strong cultural value. In my experience, I don't think we're silent. We talk a lot, right? Do you observe, do you sometimes when someone does something to you and someone says something to you, do you respond by maintaining silence? No, we talk, right? We respond vocally. We respond vocally, okay. So silence is not much practiced in our culture, you think. Okay. People often show physical affection in public. I have a garden in front of my home, and there are desks and benches, iron benches. Early morning couples come, boys come, girls come, school boys and girls come, and then they show physical affection. They kiss each other, they hug each other, and the boy might sleep in the girl's lap, the girl might sleep in the boy's lap in broad daylight, and people keep walking by the street and they look at them. Nobody cares. This is my scene in front of my home. Now, here a question. Can you hug your boyfriend in public? No. Can you kiss your boyfriend in public? You don't have one. If you had one, okay, it's all right. Can you hug a girlfriend in public? No. So some of you said yes. So in Nepali culture, once my daughter brought a French lady home few years back as a friend. And the first thing I told this French lady, I said, I told her, France is a romantic city where you can do romance in the street. But I told her, please be careful in Nepal. Because in Nepal, you don't show physical affection in public. And you don't talk about sex in public, I told her. And she realized it, right? She was going on a 30-day tour across the mountains. So you agree that in Nepali culture, we don't publicly show physical. But times are changing these days, right? It's particularly young people. Last time in Patan, they banned you to sit around temples. They said that young couples come and then they start kissing, hugging, and that's a bad thing, right? So times are changing, right? Okay. Usually stand very close to each other when you talk. Do Nepalese people stand very close when they talk, or they maintain distance? When you talk to someone at a home or in the class, do you stand very close or you maintain distance? Distance, you maintain distance. In your case, if you're talking a boy, do you become very close or you maintain distance? Distance. But my impression is that if I compare Nepalese culture with other cultures, I feel like Nepalese people come closer when they talk. They don't particularly maintain a larger distance as some Westerners might do. Even if you get touched or you touch, you don't mind when you are having public conversation. Okay, let's move ahead. So it says that as we read, where is the, yes. So reading, look, we are, here for us reading means academic reading. Reading means academic reading for us. And academic reading, when you do academic reading, you can do two things. You can scan a text or you can skim it, right? If you scan, you are looking for particular information, and if you skim, you are looking for overall idea or general impression. When you take IELTS or TOEFL test, you will apply skimming and scanning. Some questions require skimming, some require scanning. Mostly they ask for scanning. Now, there is another thing we call, in academic reading, there is something we call interactive reading. We also call it active reading. What is interactive or active academic reading? As you read, you underline what you read. Look what I did. I underlined because I think this is important for me to note down. Then, look, I have highlighted, or I may put a circle around the word if it is important, right? What to highlight, what to underline? Those paragraphs which describe or define non-verbal behavior of various cultures. This we call this reading with a purpose. Academic reading is reading with a purpose. What is your purpose? To look for particular information in the text. For example, here you are looking for non-verbal behavior in different cultures. That is your purpose. So I'm teaching you what is academic reading, and I'm teaching you what things we consider when we make academic reading. Okay, then in the margin next to each marked passage, indicate. So how do you indicate? By writing brief comments in the margin. Sometimes when you read the book, you have the pen or pencil and you feel like noting something down. And many times we might write a word at the margin, a phrase at the margin, meaning at the margin, or even some symbols, question mark, circle, etc., right? Depends on your reading habit. So look, I told you what is academic reading. And I said academic reading has two things, scanning and skimming, I defined. Then I told that academic reading is active, interactive. And then I said you underline or you highlight. This, what you write in the margin, when you write at the margin, what do you call it? You call this kind of writing as annotation. What do you call? Writing at the margin is called as annotation. What do we call? And when you annotate while reading, we call this annotative reading. What do we call it? We call it annotative reading. So academic reading is interactive, active, annotative. Here you underline, you highlight, you put a circle around, and you annotate at the margin because you are looking for particular information. For example, here you want to mark the paragraphs where they describe about non-verbal behavior. Second, they say, indicate whether that behavior is commonly seen in your culture. So you will read, and suppose you read that there is a guy, there are two people, there is a girl, let's say, and you read that when they are communicating, they maintain 3 feet distance. Now ask a question. Do Nepalese also do like this? If yes, write yes. If no, write no. So what is happening? Look, academic reading, nature. Academic reading is reading to learn something. Reading to get some information. Right? Learning and information. It's not just for pleasure. Academic reading is not, you might get pleasure as you read, but primary purpose of academic reading is not pleasure. Primary purpose of academic reading is learning. Okay? Now let's move ahead. Whenever you read the text, even in other exam tests like IELTS, TOEFL, etc., first thing you do, always pay attention to the title. Never ignore the title. Never ignore the title. So the first keyword here is where, and where indicates place, right? That means this essay will talk about space, right? And we stand. So normally you don't stand in the bed or kitchen or living room. So maybe this essay will talk about public space. It will talk about public space. Now we can guess that this essay most probably will discuss how people stand in public space. It's important to think like this before you start reading, because this prepares you mentally to read. Now, second thing you have, as you can see here, you have information about the author, author's background, and the source of the text. For example, here you have one important information. Now you know that the genre of this text is article. What is an article? Article is a piece of scholarly writing. Articles are scholarly writings. And articles often, they contain, let's say, knowledge. They contain knowledge and wisdom. So now you know the genre.
Sorry.
Then, yes.
Paragraph 8,
Paragraph 8 we have done
yes, sir.
in last class. Oh, you didn't tell me, right? Okay, I'll move to that. I've explained these things last time, right? Okay. Nobody tells me. You enjoy when we repeat things, right? Okay. So I explained you about these paragraphs, right? Okay. Paragraph 3. We talked about thesis statement also, right? Okay. Then in paragraph 5, we read how writer brings examples to support thesis, right? Paragraph 6, he brings further examples. Paragraph 7 talks about a new concept, the concept of cultural continuum, right? I explained this concept last time. A cultural, he talks about the idea that, just a second. What is cultural continuum? This line, you have high contact cultures, you have low contact cultures, and if two cultures have close proximity, then the two cultures will have more similarity. They will have more similarity. Now, suppose two cultures are located geographically as a large distance, then the two cultures will have more differences. Continuum means those cultures who exist side by side, they don't have much differences. They may have continuity of features. For example, what you see in Nepali culture, you might also find in Indian culture. What you see in Indian culture, you might also find in Pakistani culture. But what you see in Nepali culture, probably you won't find in Pakistani culture, because Nepal and Pakistan are not close by, whereas India and Pakistan are close by. When two cultures are side by side closely, you will see more similarities. And if they are at a distance, you will see more differences. I explained this thing last time, right? Okay, now let's move to paragraph 8. So he talks about high contact culture, then low contact culture. In paragraph 8, he talks about middle zone. And he says that in the middle zone, the problem is, in the middle zone you have America, right? And what is the Americans? If an American is standing in a public place having a conversation, then he assumes that 18 inches radius around his body is a personal space. This is a personal space. And another guy who is talking to the American, if they come closer than 18 inch, then this American will become suspicious about that fellow. He will take this approach as a weird behavior. He will think that he may be a thief or a pickpocket or a homosexual or a lesbian, but not a normal fellow. See the Americans' assumption about space use. This concept we call zone of privacy. In paragraph 2 or 3, I guess he says, we all have zone of privacy like hoop skirt. Now, this is about the Americans, right? Okay. Then Lisa Davis says, normally Americans will maintain 18-inch space unless this we is about the audience, and this we refers to the Americans. It refers to American. This essay is written by an American for the American. The primary reader is Americans. We want to win foreign friends. Suppose if you want to win foreign friend, imagine an American comes to Egypt. Now Egypt is a high contact culture. Muslims stay closer when they talk. Now suppose this American comes to Egypt for business contract discussion, business dealing. And now they are on a round table discussing business chances. And suppose the American sits here and the Egyptian sits here, let's say 8 feet distance on the table. This larger distance of 8 feet will make the Egyptian feel, how will the Egyptian feel? He will feel that Americans are cold, Americans are indifferent. Why? Because he is maintaining a distance. He is maintaining a distance. So Lisa Davis is telling the Americans, in America it's okay, but if you go to Saudi Arabia or Egyptian countries, for example, don't maintain such a distance, stay close by, stay close to them. Because in Arabian countries, people build relationship when they come closer. Physical proximity. In high contact cultures, friendship and relationship means coming closer. If you stay physically away, you can't be a friend. And in business, when your counterpart feels you are not friendly, they don't do business dealing with you. So she is training this thing to Americans, right? If you want to win foreign friends, behave like this. If you want to influence people, stay close, right? Research shows we had better adjust our posture. So she is, again, we means, what does we mean? The Americans. We means the Americans. We had better adjust our posture. In one study, now she says that we should adjust our posture according to the counterpart's cultural requirement, right? This is the main idea. This is the main idea. Now rest you will see supporting detail. Look here. In one study, when British graduate students were trained, there were British students, right? They were trained to adopt Arab patterns of behavior. What is Arab pattern? When Arab people sit to talk with somebody, they face people straight in their eyes. They face straight. So Arab people face their partners straight on with lots of eye contact. They do a lot of eye contact and a lot of smiling. Whereas if an American, if you smile at an American being a male with a male, he might mistake you for being a gay guy. Right? Look how sensitive culture is. So Arab people, they look straight in your face, they have a lot of eye contact and smiling. Middle Eastern extensions found them more likable. Look, when the trainer made the British students sit closer to the Arab student, the Arab said that the British students are more likable. So if you go to Saudi countries, if you stay closer to people, they like you. If you stay far away, they don't like you. Okay. And trustworthy. Look, if you stay closer, they will think you are a trustworthy person. They can rely on you. If you stay away, you are a doubtful person. Look, space and meaning. Then typical British students, in contrast, the misuse of space. Suppose you go to Saudi country where they expect you to stay close when you talk to them and you stay apart. Misuse of space. Suppose you go to America for business dealing where Americans expect you to maintain some distance and you go very close. Misuse of space. If you do misuse of space, then what will happen? People will start suspecting your intention. They will think you are not a normal fellow. They will think you may be a psycho. They will think you may be a gay guy. They will think you may be lesbian. They will think you may be terrorist. They will think you may be a thief. They will think you may be a robber. And they'll be alert. They'll be alert. Have you seen? When somebody behaves normal, we don't pay attention, it's okay, we move on. But when somebody breaks rule and behaves abnormal, instantly we become alert. Have you seen? In microbuses, when you travel, girls, suppose somebody bends over you from the back and touches your body, you become alert. Oh, this guy must have ill intention. Right? So when we break rules, people watch. When we are following rules, it's okay, nobody is conscious about that. Okay. Now look, when researchers, second example, when researchers seated pairs of women for conversation, those forced to talk at an uncomfortably large distance were more likely to describe their partners as cold and rejecting. Now look, there were women, and when women were made to sit at a larger distance from the friend, she thought that this friend is cold and she doesn't like me. In thesis statement, paragraph 4, if you remember, it says that how people use space differs even between sexes. In paragraph 4, thesis statement, second part. First part says space use differs from culture to culture. Second part says space use differs from group to group even within a single country. Third part says space use also differs from between sexes. And here in paragraph 8 you have example. When a woman talks to a woman, they prefer staying close. When women talk, they come closer. Men, no. Men always maintain a distance. Why? Because the purpose of talk for women is to develop friendship. The purpose of talk for men is to challenge each other. Men talk to challenge each other, so maintain distance. Women do not challenge when they talk. They seek for relationship. The purpose of women's conversation is seeking relationship, knowing each other, finding friendship. The purpose of Men's talk is not seeking relation, but maintaining your hierarchy and status. So boys maintain this. Look here, further. It says, don't snuggle up too fast, though. Men in that study were more irritated by their partners when they were forced to talk at close range. Spatially speaking, it seems men and women are subtly foreign to each other in terms of space use. Just opposite. Women like coming close when they talk, men like staying away. No matter whether a society operates at arm's length or cheek to jowl. What is cheek to jowl? In Arabic country, have you seen when they meet, they kiss on the cheeks, on the forehead, and they touch their cheeks with a guy or girl. This happens even in Hollywood, especially in beauty programs. Have you seen when celebrities come, they kiss on the forehead or cheeks and they touch the faces, right? In Indians, I say they tell the soul like this. I've seen. I don't know why they do. I've seen doing like this. Have you seen on television? Okay. No matter whether a society operates at arm's length or cheek to jowl, the women look at each other more and a bit closer than men. One remarkable thing I would like to tell about paragraph 8 and 9 is, what is academic writing? What is academic writing? See here. What is academic, before I leave the class? Academic writing is based on, look here. Academic writing is based on study and research. It is based on study and research. What someone writes does not come from imagination. It comes from study and research. Look, in one study, then if you go down, there is another. Look here. Yes. When researchers, the ideas of academic writing come from research. So, what you write in academic essays, those ideas come from study and research, not from your imagination. That's why academic writing is more difficult and challenging. Because to write one sentence, you may have to read 10 pages. Then only you write, right? Okay, I'll stop here. Nobody reminded me that I've done up to paragraph 8, right? I thought I had another plan. I wanted to explain you certain things. Okay. What class do you have now? Okay, I'll stop here. Okay, we'll be again tomorrow together. We have 2 classes and we'll finish the whole essay tomorrow in detail. This essay, first essay, I will teach you very slowly like this. And then I'll give you assignments. From next essay, you will start presenting. And you will try to copy what I did in class. Okay? And gradually we'll learn. Thank you. Any questions you want to ask me? Do you have a question to ask me? Okay.